Hello, my fellow curious astronomers. My name is Jaden, and I'll be doing my best to educate you on my favorite and, in my opinion, the best constellation, the Hydra. The Hydra constellation is one of the 88 official constellations as of January 22nd, 2023. Maybe there will be more found, but as of now, the Hydra is the largest constellation of the 88. Hydra is also Latin for water snake, which relates to the Greek mythos figure that fought Hercules. We will get more into the lore and history of that later. In early 2023, we will be able to see this constellation in the night sky in Michigan in the months of January, February, March, April, May, and June. It is the largest constellation and is very easy to spot in a dark sky as it's a long snake with a single box head flying above the horizon. Since it takes up so much space, it is going to have a lot of neighbors in the wide skies. These bright and shiny neighbors are Sextans, Pyxis, Monoceros, Canis Minor, Cancer, Leo, Crater, Corvus, and Antlia. Hydra in Greek mythos has some history with some of its neighbors. Crater and Corvus have a troubled story with it. Apollo, the Greek mythos sun god, had a sacrifice to do, but he was in need of some water, so he sent a crow, Corvus, to go fetch some water in a cup. Crater. The crow went on a trip to complete his mission assigned to him by Apollo, where he came across a fig tree. The crow decided to stop and rest at this tree while he waited for the figs to ripen so he could feast and relax. The crow spent several days here just waiting, completely forgetting the mission he was given to by Apollo. The crow, in a panic, found and grabbed a small water snake, the Hydra, where he was going to shift the blame. The crow blamed the Hydra for blocking the spring water. Apollo, who was furious as he waited for days just for an empty cup, decided to punish the crow and water snake. So Apollo grabbed the crow, cup, and snake and just threw them into the sky. Let's get into the main story of the legendary Greek mythos figure Hydra, also known as Lernaean Hydra. This giant water snake was the offspring of Typhon and Echina. Typhon, the father, a feared snake-like monster, and his mother Echina, another feared monster, as she was half snake and half human. The Hydra obviously didn't have the best household to grow up in, so like father and mother, he became a legendary feared monster. He grew up into a large snake monster with some stories saying he had 9 heads. Of course, this varies. This monster's territory was Lerna, where he constantly terrorized the people and ruined the crops. As a legendary Greek mythos monster, it had to have some cool powers. If anyone was able to cut off one of these monsters' heads, it would grow back 2 heads to replace the one. And to make things even more difficult for any of its foes, one of the original 9 heads were immortal. Hercules, however, was up to the challenge. He was assigned 12 labors as punishment for killing his children, which is a whole nother story. The Hydra was an early obstacle for Hercules, as it was Hercules' second labor to kill the Hydra. Hercules wanted some help, so he recruited his nephew Iolaus to help him finish off the monster. This uncle-nephew tag team had a plan for the legendary foe. As Hercules cut off a head, Iolaus would cauterize the wounds to prevent any regeneration. When only the immortal head was left, Hercules cut it off and buried it under a big boulder to prevent any regeneration and to rid the world of the Hydra monster, bringing its story to an end. Okay, now let's talk about the actual constellation now. Of the 7 named stars, the brightest one is Alphard. Alphard is a star of many names. The most common one is known as Alpha Hydrae. Now, it is the brightest and most famous star of the Hydra constellation, but don't expect to ever actually meet it. It's about 177 light years away, and us humans don't have the technology to travel that distance, as of right now. Now, the constellation isn't mean like its Greek mythology story. It is actually a cool and creative constellation. It has 3 Messiers in it. Messier 48, or a less cool name, NGC 2548, is an open cluster of stars in the constellation. It is approximately 1500 light years away. The second Messier is Messier 68, or NGC 4590. It is a globular cluster of stars and is about 33,300 light years away. And the final Messier, known as Messier 83, or NGC 5236, a fun name, is a barred spiral galaxy in the Hydra constellation. In my professional and very educated opinion, I believe that Messier 83 is the coolest because it looks like a sparkly toilet as it flushes. And that concludes my lesson. I hope I did well informing you learners on the constellation. I hope you enjoyed. Keep learning and look up in the sky.